Dear listeners, good morning and welcome to Comdarchi, the podcast that opens the doors to the fascinating world of architecture. For newcomers, let me introduce myself. I'm the spokesperson of Anne-Charlotte Despons, PhD in History of Architecture, published author, head of a communication and development agency based in Paris, France, dedicated to architecture. Let's meet every week to discuss culture and architecture with specialists and learn how to look at projects through a context and diversity lens. Thank you for being with me today, and now it's time for talent.
Bienvenue dans Comdarchi.
Dear listeners, good morning. This is Esther on behalf of Anne-Charlotte. It's great to be with you again in Season 3 of Comdarchi, Episode 8. Today, we will be talking about the world of French architect Alexandre Sfintesco, and on the road to the Roi Soleil with its project on the Villevert Plain in Louveciennes near Versailles. Alexandre Sfintesco is a graduate architect from the École nationale supérieure d'architecture de Paris-Belleville. Alexandre Sfintesco is interested in the scale of the city and the territory, as well as the scale of the user and the feeling. Thus, he is developing a sensitive practice that is firmly rooted in its context. He was a partner in the Leclercq Associé agency, for which he developed a practice of housing, tertiary and operational urban planning in France and abroad over a period of 20 years. Frequently awarded and published, his major achievements in housing include the Saône Park building in Lyon-Confluence, les Docks Apollonia in Ris-Orangis, and les Chais Bacalan in Bordeaux. In the tertiary sector, they are the headquarters of the Nantes urban community and the WeLink building in Lyon. Finally, in urban projects, the Camille Claudel district in Palaiseau, the Ville-Génie district in Massy, and Malaca Delta in Malaga, Spain. In 2020, Alexandre Sfintesco founded the Architecture and Urban Planning Agency, SAFE, alongside Kevin-Antoine Eloy, within the URBENSE operational urban planning platform. This platform, of about 25 people, brings together the professions of architect, urban planner, project management assistant, and project manager. Its approach is to put the project at the heart of the reflection and to bring a global and extremely sharp answer in the creation of the city and its architecture. A multidisciplinary research unit is currently being created to understand and analyze changes in our society. With three other architects, Aurélie Barbet, Myriam Chabani, and Guillaume Sicard, he has just published a book on his research from the Maison de l'Architecture Île-de-France. It is about aging well in the city and is entitled Le Printemps de l'Hiver. This sensitive study on our seniors exposes an inventory of the habitat and the territory in the service of the third age and reveals the questions that we all ask ourselves. While our seniors all have different expectations, which habitats will be able to meet them? In an increasingly fast-paced world, how can the city and the region take the time to welcome our seniors? URBENSE also manages Studio 28, an incubator for creation and well-being. In addition to the various urban structures which find a place for sharing and exchange, Studio 28 hosts startups that improve access to healthcare for women, a psychopractitioner specializing in trauma, and creative people, designers, graphic artists. Exhibitions of young artists are organized 3 times a year. They put these young artists in touch with the world of promotion, which, since 2015 and the signing of the One Building, One Work Charter, has integrated art into each of its projects. Conferences are organized regularly to share experiences. At a time when Instagram and Pinterest are unfortunately the only source of architectural reference, this openness to the outside world favors an understanding of the challenges of today's society within URBENSE and awakens curiosity and creativity. Among his current projects, Alexandre Sfintesco is developing an ambitious neighborhood on the Villevert Plain in Louveciennes along the Route de Versailles. It is the royal road that allowed Louis XIV, the Sun King, to escape the hassles of Versailles to reach the Domaine de Marly on horseback. The splendor of royalty has given way today to the realities of a territory crossed by major road infrastructures. The Royal Road has become a two-lane national road that connects to the Rocancourt Triangle Interchange to the south. In the 1950s and the 1960s, the plain of Villevert was the site of the Supreme Headquarters Allied Powers Europe, or SHAPE for short. It was NATO's operational headquarters in Europe. From the 1970s to the 2000s, the site became a technology center with the installation of Bull's headquarters. After Bull's departure, and despite the ambitious projects of Canal+ to set up its headquarters there, and Unibail to build a shopping center, a major fire in 2006 turned the site into a wasteland to be reinvented. With the town of Louveciennes, the aim is to reappropriate this territory and create a peaceful neighborhood that meets the expectations of today's inhabitants, with a mix of mobility, history, attractiveness, sport, and nature. A city that understands the issues raised by the COVID-19 crisis regarding the quality of housing and its outdoor spaces. On the basis of a master plan initially developed by the Agence de 134 and accompanied by Pena Paysage, Alexandre Sfintesco's Safe Architecture and Urban Planning Agency is developing a city district that is fully integrated into its territory around four axes: the classic city, the natural city, the active city, and the sports city. This classic city is that of Versailles and Saint-Germain-en-Laye, with their radiating plan, their moderate height templates. In a reinterpretation anchored in our time, the Villevert district takes up these codes and appropriates them. The architecture is regulated, the materials are durable. The public spaces are identified with the wide vegetated avenues, the courtyards punctuated by buildings with the appearance of private mansions. This natural city takes advantage of the proximity of the forest of Marly and the Plaine du Trou d'Enfer to create an inhabited forest. Structured by bridle paths, typical of the surrounding hunting woods, this forest landscape provides security and comfort as well as a real respect for nature and the development of biodiversity. The play of light between the undergrowth and the clearing is part of the composition. The buildings follow the structure of the trees that make up the forest, with a relationship to the ground that combines transparency and visual openings at the level of the trunks, generous balconies overhang like huts at the level of the foliage, and roofs that offer great ceiling heights and distant views at the level of the canopy. This active city is the one that allows this district to be part of its territory in movement. A service and hotel offer is based on the major road infrastructures nearby. Craftsmen have come to settle in this demanding area linked to the Château de Versailles. Local shops liven up the streets and the central square and allow the district to be self-sufficient in terms of pedestrian movement. Lastly, a large shopping mall showcases local products near the Trou d'Enfer farm operated by the ONF, the National Forestry Office. This sporty city is based on the existing pedestrian and bicycle routes in the area to create a sports route around the site. This route takes advantage of the different existing landscapes to find specific features. A playground on the noise barriers to the south, opening up views of the Trou d'Enfer plain to the west. Walking through a landscaped forest to the north or contemplating the historic wall of the Grand Domaine de Versailles to the east. Beyond this local sports offer, it is also a question of creating a destination sports offer with attractive sports facilities. This ambitious district, a synthesis of a historic and attractive area, will be built from 2023. It will welcome a population with a great social and generational mix. Dear listeners, thank you for tuning in. Let's meet again next week for a new Com d'Archi in English. And until then, take care of yourselves. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to tune in to our previous content on Instagram at comdarchipodcast. If you like it, make sure to promote the podcast by giving it 5 stars on Apple Podcast and adding a comment, or on any of your favorite podcast platforms. And don't forget to subscribe and listen to all of our episodes for free. See you soon, and until then, take care of yourself.